Welcome back to season 2 of The Edit by Engage Creative. I'm Sophie.
And I'm Amy.
And we are a marketing wedding-based agency specialising in marketing wedding-based businesses. We are so excited to have season 2.
Yeah, welcome. It's 2026.
It's 2026. It was such a good first season. We actually had a lot of people kind of come up to us and have a lot of feedback to us when we were at the front of bridal market in October. There was a lot of conversations, a lot of people being like, hey, I listened to this episode. So it's really nice that kind of people are digesting our information and hopefully taking away like key kind of snippets and whatnot to, marketing their wedding-based business.
And we're back to do it all again with even more, I feel, information, perspectives,
trending
tips,
things.
Trends.
Yeah.
There's a lot that we actually have been kind of in the background figuring out what we want to talk about. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, but we also had some really great guests, and I feel like this season we've got even more guests coming to share their tips and tricks. So with season 2, we thought a really great place to start would be our story and how we became a wedding marketing agency. So let's just kind of take it back to the beginning, how we met and kind of everything that started, because I don't think we've really touched on that on season 1.
Yeah, well, I mean, we both came from wedding bridal backgrounds. You were working at One Fine Day as their fashion coordinator or director?
Fashion manager. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was working doing kind of all the things at Karen Willis Homes. So a little bit of marketing, a little bit of wholesale, a little bit of customer service. And you randomly popped up in Karen's inbox looking for part-time work.
Yeah.
And for a job that didn't exist.
Yeah, I was working 2 days a week. It was when One Fine Day was really starting to kind of build momentum in themselves. And I obviously had a little bit of a fashion kind of experience. And so I emailed Karen because I really loved her designs and saw if there was, an opportunity to do some PR and marketing work. So that's how I kind of just slid into her inbox.
Yeah, you did. And then, I was there at the interview with you, and weirdly enough, like 30 seconds before you walked in the door, looking through your resume, and it said, that you were at the school that you went to, and my family had also gone to that school. So I was like, great, that's a little connection point to like break the ice. And then by the end of it, you walked away with like a job was created, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then that's how we started working together. You'd come in 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And do, marketing stuff. And then I vividly remember one day, I think there was like a bookcase in between where our desks were. And I remember vividly spinning around and like the little crack where there wasn't any books in the bookcase being like, hey, I've got a business idea. You want to talk about it later?
Well, I just think it's funny because when we started, it was kind of, there wasn't even really Instagram.
It was very
early. There was like, I remember like
2015.
A big part of my job was posting blogs and posting on Facebook. Like that was a really, really big part of it. And so Instagram really wasn't a thing. It was maybe slightly, but it was kind of at the start of directories, and that's where we came up with our first business. It was called Love Find Co. It was a wedding dress directory. So
just everything for the bride.
Everything for the bride. Yeah. We had bridal designers, accessories, bridal boutiques.
We wanted to expand into like hair and makeup and basically just be remove everything else from like your wedding planning, and that was specifically for brides. And one of, I think, very early on that you and I were on the same page about was like the visual direction and kind of treating it like how magazines would have their own editorials to show the trends or the visions or their kind of aesthetic. We kind of decided very early on to support the designers that were on the directory, but also to show our aesthetic was to do those campaigns to be able to kind of be our point of difference.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them, they realize that like traditionally it was like you put an ad in a magazine and like that was your marketing. But I think that when we first started, we were able to kind of curate with like our eye of being like, okay, let's do a photo shoot to showcase this brand in a different way. And it worked. Like these brands were like, oh, this is a really great way of showcasing my brand, during a really beautiful photo shoot. And we would then post about it on our blog. It would go nuts. They would use the images, and like it was such a good opportunity to like show our skills, and then also of like photo shoots, but then also kind of promoting these brands to brides. Yeah.
And then kind of everything, I feel, just was like a knock-on effect after that. Like I feel we did a couple of editorials, and then designers that we were featuring in those editorials would say, hey, actually, can you do my next campaign?
Yeah.
And that's definitely like your wheelhouse and what you're amazing at. So you were like, yeah, sure. And then we'd have a couple of people to be like, oh, I really like the social media, like the feed of the Instagram, because we were so obsessed about how that looked.
Yeah.
Which of course you did back in the day with like the very early days of Instagram. And so then people started.
I remember it was Katie and Cliff.
Yes.
From Hera Couture was like, the way you curate the feed is so beautiful. Can you do it for our brands? And at that point, they had two very distinct different brands. So we did it with those. And it was a campaign every 6 weeks and managing their social media. And that was such an incredible place to start because we were learning, and also it was when Instagram was growing, and we had that really fun opportunity of like, all right, every 6 weeks we booked in for a campaign and we're creating something. And these photo shoots weren't anything like what we did. It was like I would be driving and be like, that's a pretty brick wall. Maybe I'll do something up against that big brick wall. But it was just starting those like foundations. I think the funny thing is that like we have led from one business to the next, and these have all been skills that we've really transferred across.
But even that, the thing that blows my mind when I look back at like our journey and stuff is I think it took us almost 18 months from like our first conversation to making the Love Find Co directory live was like 18 months
Crazy.
Of us getting together on the weekends, working on it at night.
Yeah, we did it for so long after hours.
So long. And then now I think back and I'm like, if we have like an idea or a new service or something, we action it so quickly. And obviously there is a lot that goes into that. But I just think, like, what were we doing for 18 months?
Well, we were working full time. I think that's the biggest thing that when we were starting out, we both had full-time businesses. So like we would meet at this tiny little cafe called Bread and Circus.
7 a.m.?
Yes, 7 a.m. And we would meet for an hour and a half and we would smash out as much work as we could, and then we would both go to our jobs at 8:30. And then we'd usually call each other afterwards and start mulling over business ideas, like ways that we could, do X, Y, and Z on the way home, and then we would both action it when we got home, which is just like I can't even think about doing that now. But it has led us to eventually I think a real big turning point was this was starting to gain momentum, and like we were both like, shit, we need to take the chance. Like we got to go for it.
Yeah, I think I remember saying to you, because we kind of had a rough plan of going full time in 6 months, and it was all very planned. Like you would go first and then me, and we would build up the business and all that kind of stuff. But I do remember saying to you, and I think this was, what was it? It was 2018. So it was like 3.5 years after we first started. I was like, because as well, like this is the other thing to keep in mind, we didn't pay ourselves anything from
we paid ourselves
role.
literally a coffee.
It was like coffee and breakfast or whatever. But literally every single dollar that we made, we saved, we squirreled, we reinvested in website design, branding, the photo shoots and editorials. Yeah. And it wasn't until we officially went full time that we actually like paid ourselves anything. And I remember saying to you, like, I've got like in the next 3 to 6 months, if we like don't start taking some kind of payment like for our work and involvement, like what's the point?
We'd been doing it for so long for free, but not really for free, but like obviously not paying ourselves. You and I both are on the
same page.
We're very good money wise. I think which is like so rare. I always say that.
Decisions.
Yeah, I always say that to a lot of people when I speak about you. Like we are just so lucky that we're both on the exact same mindset with money. Like we both aren't crazy about spending money. We are very much make, we're calculated risks.
But we take the same approach like in our personal lives and that transfers over to our business.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that you see, like it's very rare for partnerships to work over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I think some things like business decisions, finances,
Money,
all that kind of stuff are big things that can
We're really
come
lucky that
between
we're
it.
both the same page with that.
I don't think it's very rare that we've had a situation. I don't think we've ever had.
I think we're always just on the same page with money, which I think is just so rare because money can create like a lot of tension and stuff, and we're just both,
but I was like,
we almost know what each other are reading for like the next decision. But I mean, back to kind of then going full time, it was quite funny because I'd moved to Melbourne, you were in Sydney, and you'll laugh when I say this, but like, do you remember it was like now or never, like let's go. So I was like, this is what we're doing, this is what we do, like this is us, like this is our service kit, like everything. And it was, I'm going to swear, like fucking radio silence. And we both shut ourselves. Do you remember?
When we went full time?
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And I literally said to Dave, like, I think I'm going to go, I used to work in retail. I was like, I'm going to have to go back to Cookai and work there. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And we're both like
Didn't we say to
out.
ourselves, like we had a plan where it's like, okay, with the money that we've saved up, we're happy to eat into that X amount and happy to eat into our personal savings X amount. And then if that all goes, we're going to have to become like checkout chicks. Or I jokingly said, I'm going to like take an accounting course and become an accountant or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first week
that was really
I was
scary.
Riddled with
anxiety
because you were like, no one's replying back. And then the second week, and you did follow-ups.
Yeah.
And then everyone replied. And then I had anxiety over, because in the space of those 2 weeks, we had enough work for 6 months.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it was like, oh, okay.
Like,
we also need to go
this?
to New York. Like, this is a thing. Like, you know, we were starting the business from the ground up. So, like, what we paid ourselves was like nothing. Like, I was like,
we took pay cuts.
It was like stupid. Like, I was like, it was under what you would get at retail. Like, it was like nothing. And so we were both like, if we just got to make the decision to like go for it. And each year we've just been more and more like, okay, this is the next stepping stone. This is like the next goal. Obviously, that all happened. We had a great amount of work and then COVID hit.
Yeah, and that was the funniest timing because we had actually invested in a 6-month business mentoring like workshop thing, and we had like a 3-day retreat as like the start of it. So we got to meet everyone and do like a lot of in-person stuff, and then it was going to be 6 months of like Zoom sessions after that because everyone was from different places. And in that in-person retreat thing, we had to do a 1-page business plan that had what our goals were and what our stretch goal was. And we had made the decision and we were working on hiring our first employees off the back of that thing. And I'd written up the job ad, like it was all ready to go. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And everything, we didn't know what was going on.
It was such a strange
But I
pace.
actually think it was a blessing in disguise of where we were, because you and I could be really nimble. Like you and I could make decisions that only affected us, wasn't affecting anyone else.
Yeah.
We put the hiring on hold. I remember we halved all of our retainer rates by 50%, and that would just cover like our bare minimum, like our wage, so to speak.
Yeah, there was no
and
profit.
Nothing
It was
else.
like
but we
nothing.
kept on every single client. There was one client that we lost for like a small Pinterest service, but everyone else stayed on.
Yeah.
And we were like, you got to keep your marketing up. You got to keep your visibility up. We don't know how long this is going to last. And I think like that was just a really, even though it was like such a weird time and like a lot of people and businesses suffered and stuff, like we rode that wave in a way.
We did. And I think in a way I look back on it and I'm like, oh, marketing was so important at that time. Like
So
I actually
important.
think that we've had a lot harder years than COVID.
Yes.
Because, you know, that was you and me navigating it, and we're always on the similar page of how to navigate that kind of situation. And I really think that the clients were like, yes, marketing is still really important. We do need to keep showing up. So, I mean, we then ended up kind of at the end of COVID, we were like, okay, we need to start hiring and like we need to have momentum to grow. We had a graphic designer, we needed social media managers, and it just really started to then build around what our business is. And we started to get really intentional about what our services are.
Yeah. And then I kind of feel like the last couple of years, like we got an office and then we had to move out of that office because it was getting redeveloped. We've done remote.
Yeah.
We've ended up going back to New York a few times for bridal market. And yeah, we've just kind of built that momentum. And I think it started with obviously the campaigns and then the social media, and we were offering branding and website design when we had a graphic designer in-house. And I loved that it all kind of fed together with us kind of having a bit of oversight around all of those areas, because I think all of that worked really well when it came to marketing a business.
Yeah.
And I think we've really honed in, like I'm really proud of our systems and our processes and operationally how we work. I think our team is really strong.
Our team is so strong.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And then it's also allowed us, I mean, because you and I never stop, it's allowed us other business opportunities to kind of flourish from that.
It's almost come really full circle now, because not many people know, but we have a sales agency as well. And like you are really flourishing in that kind of operational system. And I'm kind of really enjoy like the sales and kind of like the people.
The networking.
Yeah, and the relationship. So it's like completely come full circle and allowing us to grow a team for Engage Creative, and like letting the girls really flourish in their roles means that we can start to focus on other areas of the business to start to grow momentum.
But it makes sense because, and I've always had this opinion, your marketing directly influences your sales.
Yeah.
And your sales influences your marketing. Like you kind of need to be on the same page about both areas of the business.
Yeah.
And we're really lucky that we have a few key clients that have allowed us to be really invested and involved in their business in both of those areas.
Yeah. It's so much fun.
It's so much fun.
It's
I
so
love
much
it.
fun.
I kind of say that like even though we're a marketing agency, the thing I love about it is like the business development side of it. Like it's not just about like what are we posting or whatever, but it's like, okay, well, what are your business goals? Where do you want to achieve next? And how does marketing and now sales
Facilitate
and support that?
What do you wish that you knew when you first started in the business?
I mean, to be honest, this is going very deep, but I remember because I actually had to have therapy from starting, like going full time, like my anxiety was so bad. And I remember saying to my therapist, I just want to know that it all works out.
Yeah.
So like just that it all would work out. And in hindsight, now I can see like if you put your mind and your energy into something, whether that be a service or a client or a whatever, it'll work out.
Yeah.
Like what you put your time and energy in will flourish.
Yeah.
It can't not.
Yeah.
So that's just, but I didn't know that at the time. It was such an, like, it's big and it's scary going from like the comfort of having a job to then all of a sudden being like, okay, well, your ability to pay yourself is all on you. What about you?
I think that mine would definitely be boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, going deep, but I am very an open book. I think that I am just like a positive Polly, to be honest. And I think that sometimes I need to be a little bit protective of myself and my boundaries. And I think that the business over the past 7 years has taught me, to obviously look after our clients and like look after them, look after us, look after our team, and just kind of have a lot clearer boundaries.
But I think as well, and I can relate to this, is when you're in your business and you're doing all the things, like before you start hiring a team, it's almost like everything will live and die on what you do or don't do and the timely manner. And once you start to, and I think you have for a long time we had like this level of control that we needed, and also like with the way that we work and the way that we wanted to show up for our clients.
Yeah.
And I almost can, and again, it comes with a lot of like business mentoring and stuff from our amazing coach, but it's like when you actually take your hands, like when you give like the business space to grow and the team space to grow, and you're not like so gung-ho on like being across everything and being like in everything, it like opens everything up.
I think in a way, like obviously you don't have children, but you live through me having 2 children. And I think that has really allowed us to navigate the business as well. Like obviously before I had kids, we were like, it's fine. But I think that having children allowed us to implement boundaries, implement things to allow the team to flourish, because we both became so time poor.
Well, yeah, and your priorities changed.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, you don't get into a business and grow a business so that you spend every waking moment in the business.
Yeah.
We do it for like different reasons and like time flexibility. So yeah, I think you having kids forced you in particular, but also to some degree me.
You as well,
to be like, okay, well,
where do we need to spend our time now? And it's not on certain aspects.
Yeah.
What part of the work lights you up?
Oh, the business development.
Yeah.
Like a client coming to us and it's a really chunky undertaking. Like they want us to do the campaign,
I would agree,
the marketing,
the sales.
Yeah. Like that, I'm like, absolutely. But also on a like really geeky side note, all of the operational stuff. So like figuring out a system, a process, an automation, a new better way of doing something like for our team in the business, that also I geek out over.
Yeah. I think mine is definitely like client relationship, or like helping build businesses through connection or idea generation. And like, just like, I think that it really lights my fire when I speak to these clients and kind of almost like read their brain before they've read themselves.
That's your superpower.
I would agree.
There have been a couple of meetings, especially of late.
I'm not trying to float my boat, but I would agree.
But they will be talking about an idea or like something, and you will spit out the name of the designer or the name of something, and they go, yes. It's almost like you read my mind. And I'm like, how did you do that? It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing that. Yeah. Where do you see Engage Creative in 5 years?
Well, I see the 2 businesses kind of hand in hand.
Me too.
I see us with like the bigger, chunkier clients.
Yeah.
That we're doing like the multi-service offering. I know we've spoken about that, and I really am invested in that because that's the work that we love.
Yeah.
I mean, the world's our oyster, Soph. We have so many ideas that we just go, oh yeah, we'll get to that. And that's, I think with EC, I would love to see it as like continuing to be at the forefront of marketing. I love that, like with the ideas and the trends and the implementation, like we don't lose that, and we're continuing to push ourselves with what that looks like next. And like just doing, like having really happy long-term clients, like it's another big thing.
Yeah, I would agree. What is one piece of advice you would offer to a wedding vendor starting out now?
Probably something that we've talked about, but take the calculated risk. Like don't be stupid. But if you can look at it from a numbers perspective or from an outcome perspective or something, like take the risk. And again, if you put what you put your time and energy in will come back. And like an example is, and over the years, like we've been remiss because again, we're spread so thin across stuff a lot of the time, is up until last year, like I was still doing the marketing for EC.
Yeah.
And that was very like inconsistent and up and down just based on the work that I was doing.
Yeah.
But as soon as we offloaded that to Elise,
Hey
Elise, who's in the background, we offloaded it to Elise, we got the team involved, and we had that consistency around treating it like a client, then like things happened. And I just know that, if you put your time and energy into the right things in your business, you will move the needle. What about you?
For me, look, I'm very much in the trenches with motherhood at the moment. So this is like very at the forefront of my brain, but really making sure that if you're a business that's starting out before you have children, like there was a vendor that I spoke to and she said that she wants to have kids in the next year. I think my advice would just be really start to implement systems and processes now before you do, because you're just going to be even more time poor when that circumstance, you have a child. So I think that setting up and working hard to implement really good, trusted people or systems and processes before, or if you do have children, outsourcing, because that's just like so key to trying to feel like you can split yourself across all different things at all times,
And I think that's really important and something that we discussed both times you had the boys, where it was like you want to be able to choose when you come back into the business.
Yeah.
And if you want to take 2 months off maternity leave, or if you want to take 6 months off, you should be able to choose and have a business structure and stuff that allows you to do that.
Yeah.
And not feel like you have to forced and come back in because you're doing all the things
all the
in
time.
the business.
Yeah, I think
because
that's
I
really
think
important.
that would, I take my hat off to anyone that does that.
Yeah.
But I do think like that level of flexibility and not feeling beholden to like the business is really important.
Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed it.
What a whirlwind. That was fun.
That was
A trip down memory lane.
It was. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed our first episode back. Stay
Yes.
tuned for more, and thanks for joining us.